There was a storm in her eyes as she stood across from me, hand on the hilt of her saber. Wind stirred the dust between us, whistling like a warning between gunmetal walls. The courtyard was silent, save for the click of her boots on the stone and the sharp intake of breath from the few spectators brave enough to linger. She was known across the region. Seraphina, the pale flame Miles, a name you whispered if you wanted to die with honor or lose something precious. She'd fought in the Northern Rebellion, led raids in the Steel Cities, and carved her name into the bones of men who thought they couldn't bleed. And now she wanted to duel me. "I challenge you," she'd said earlier that morning, in the middle of the market square, right after I stopped a couple of her men from harassing a merchant. I said nothing then. I just met her eyes and nodded. When someone like Seraphina challenges you, you don't talk your way out. You fight or you disappear. So here we were. I loosened my jacket, slow and deliberate, drawing it off my shoulders. That's when it happened. Her eyes caught it first. The tattoo. A simple design, really, just a looping pattern, an old soldier's mark. Barely noticeable if you weren't looking for it. But Seraphina noticed. Her body locked in place. Her pupils shrank, and the blade in her hand trembled. That was when I froze too, because I knew what she saw. I knew what it meant, and I knew who she thought I was. The mark of the vulture. We both stood there, paralyzed, not with fear, but memory. She recovered first. Her blade lowered an inch. "Where'd you get that?" she asked, voice raw, almost breaking. I didn't answer immediately. My mouth was suddenly dry. "You don't know," I said. "You don't recognize me." She took a step forward, her gaze never leaving the mark inked over my shoulder and down my collarbone. "That tattoo, it belonged to the 7th Recon, under General Vask." She hesitated. "Only 13 of them survived the siege at Craven Hollow. The rest died. I finished, burned alive, shot, starved, or worse. I saw it happen," she whispered. "I was there on the other side. I knew that already. She'd been a commander with the opposing forces, a decorated one. That much the history books confirmed. What they didn't write about was what she did afterward, how she went rogue, how she spared children when others gave orders to raise towns, how she'd eventually left the army entirely. She looked older now, more tired than I remembered, but the eyes were the same, gray with flecks of steel, wide and sharp like a blade unsheathed. "You were one of the children," she said slowly. I nodded. "They called me Ash, because of what was left after the siege." She lowered her blade fully now, arm limp at her side. "I thought you were dead," she said. "Everyone said the village burned to nothing. The orphan camps, only a few survived. I did." "And now you fight?" she asked, motioning at the arena. "You challenge people? Carry marks you didn't earn." The edge in her voice returned, guilt turning to anger, confusion boiling into something sharper. "I earned this," I said. "That night, I crawled through the river with a bullet in my thigh. I watched my sister die in the rubble. The soldiers were supposed to finish us, but something stopped them." Her face paled. "It was you," I said. "You were the one. You ordered them to stand down." She didn't deny it. I took a step forward. "You think this tattoo is a trophy? I branded it on myself the day I turned 16, to remind me, every day, who I am, what I survived, and who I have to become." Seraphina dropped her gaze. Her hand tightened around the saber's hilt. "I didn't want it to happen like that," she said, almost a whisper. "I wanted to defect sooner. I had plans, contacts, but the order came early. I couldn't stop them." I could tell she believed that. And maybe once, that would have changed everything for me. But not anymore. "Do you still want to fight?" I asked. She looked up again, and for a moment, the pale flame flickered in her eyes. But it didn't burn. "No," she said. The crowd murmured, confused and restless. A duel denied was almost worse than blood spilled. "But I do," I said. She blinked. "What?" "I want to fight," I said. "But not for the crowd. Not for revenge. For clarity." She understood. Without another word, she raised her blade again, but this time There was no rage behind it, only resolve. We circled each other slowly, the tension palpable. She struck first, fast, clean, controlled. I parried barely. Her form was refined, almost flawless. Mine was wild, a street-born blend of instinct and muscle memory. But what I lacked in polish, I made up for an unpredictability. Our blades clashed again, sparks flying. She lunged. I dodged, slashing upward. She deflected and spun, catching my forearm. Blood bloomed. I grunted and pressed forward. Pain sharpened me. She kept glancing at the tattoo, like it haunted her even now. That was her weakness. Not skill, not strength, memory. I feinted left, then stepped in close. Too close for swords. I locked my forearm around her blade and shoved. She gasped as we crashed to the ground, her saber skidding across the stone. My blade hovered an inch from her throat. The courtyard went silent. Her eyes didn't blink. She didn't flinch. And then, slowly, she reached up and pulled open the collar of her tunic. There, etched into her skin just beneath the collarbone, was a symbol, a matching one, the same tattoo, only older, faded. My breath caught. I got a year after Craven Hollow, she said softly. As penance. I stared, stunned. I joined the rebels. I turned against the army. I fought for the people they tried to destroy. For children like you. I carry this every day, not to claim I was one of you, but to remind myself I wasn't. My hand trembled. The blade dipped. And I understood in that moment what kind of war she'd been fighting all these years. I stepped back, breath heaving. My blood dripped onto the stone. She sat up slowly, wincing. You didn't lose, she said, but you didn't win either. No, I said. I think we both surrendered. There was no applause, just a quiet shuffle of feet as the onlookers drifted away, unsure what they'd witnessed. I offered her my hand. She hesitated, then took it. As I pulled at her feet, I noticed something else in her eyes. Not fear, not sorrow. Hope, maybe fragile, maybe foolish. But it was there. She looked at me. What now? I shrugged. You tell me. You've seen both sides. She glanced up at the sky. The storm clouds were clearing. I think, she said slowly, it's time we stop fighting and start building something better. Together? I asked, if you'll have me. I paused, then nodded. But first, we'll need more than ink to tell our story. Her lips twitched. Something close to a smile. We'll need fire, she said, and truth.